Hello, this short video presents a summary of the Halo21 absorption modeling challenge. The idea for this project was seeded at the Halo21 KITP virtual conference, a 10-week open attendance online conference held in early 2021 with the support of the Kavli Institute for Theoretical Physics at Santa Barbara. This was a highly collaborative project involving theorists and observers, names of whom are seen here. This study aimed to test how well we can recover the properties of CGM gas from absorption spectra and improve our understanding of the uncertainties and systematics involved in absorption system parameter estimation. The CGM is expected to be a highly complex multi-phase system. This schematic shows that even along a single sight line, one can expect to probe gas of different origins, such as outflows, inflowing gas, and recycled accretion. Observations indeed reveal that metallicities, densities, and temperatures vary over orders of magnitude across the CGM of different galaxies as well as within the CGM of a single galaxy. This is consistent with analytical theory and high resolution simulations that predict fragmentation and mixing of circumgalactic and intergalactic clouds. The question is then, from a given absorption line spectrum, are we able to faithfully paint a picture of the cosmic ecosystems? The premise of Halo21 absorption modeling challenge was for the theorists to generate mock data and for the observers to estimate the source metallicity, density, and temperature of the provided mock data. The participating theorists came from a wide variety of CGM related backgrounds. Shown here are some of the CGM simulations which could be potential input. From left to the right, the length scale roughly increases. On the left side, we have idealized simulations that focus on small regions of the CGM, and on the right, we have overall cosmological simulations. This study examined three increasingly complex data samples: ion column densities of isolated uniform clouds, mock spectra of 1 to 3 uniform clouds, and mock spectra of high resolution turbulent mixing zones. In this short summary video, I will focus on the later two samples, sample 1 and sample 2, which represent realistic CGM scenarios. I will skip over sample 0 as it was primarily used to establish a baseline for interpreting the subsequent data samples, absent the complications from multi-phase structure. In the production of all the samples, the synthetic spectrum generator Trident was used. Sample 1 comprised of 1 to 3 discrete uniform clouds per sightline, and the cloud properties were drawn from the distribution of properties typical for the CGM in the Eagle cosmological simulations. The theorists gave us 100 sightlines, and from among these 100 sightlines, we randomly picked 10 sightlines. The figure here shows an example spectrum provided to the observer. The data is shown as gray pixels, and the void profiles from the parameter estimation are overlaid on the data in different colors. Parameter estimation is done using methods discussed in our observational modeling works. The gray bands indicate areas that are masked and do not contribute to the parameter estimation, either because there is a known blend which contaminates the absorption or there is no absorption. In this sightline, the data are found to be best fit using two clouds, one with significant low ion absorption, seen primarily in carbon 3, and one with significant high ion absorption, seen primarily in the oxygen 6. The VP for each cloud comes from the cloudy output at a given grid point, consisting of identified by metallicity, hydrogen number density, temperature, and neutral hydrogen column density. So a grid point from the cloudy output makes up 4 parameters of the model. And then there is the fifth parameter, which is the Doppler parameter, which is the sum of contributions of the thermal component and non-thermal broadening Doppler parameter, which is the fifth parameter. The velocities of each of the clouds are also allowed to vary, making the redshift a sixth parameter for each cloud. The grid of cloudy models is then explored for the combination of the multiple clouds to determine the parameters for which the model best fits the data. This example demonstrates how we are able to determine the properties of absorbing parcels of gas by using metal absorption lines to ascertain their contribution to the overall H1 absorption. So we did this parameter estimation for the 10 sightlines, and here are the results, where we compare true values in red with the predicted posterior distributions in blue. From left to right, we have the predicted posteriors for density, for metallicity, temperature, and density for the different sightlines, which are numbered. In all the cases, the true properties of the absorbing gas were found to be consistent within 68% confidence interval of the predicted posteriors. So these are the results of sample 1. Now moving on to sample 2. The sample 2 was designed to test modeling absorption systems with a more realistic distribution of properties as opposed to being described by a few discrete clouds. This choice reflects the growing knowledge that instabilities may drive clouds to fragment and mix with surrounding gas. For sample 2, spectra were generated from a high-resolution simulation of a cool filament embedded in a hot halo. This simulation was evolved by Mandelkar et al. 2020. So this shows an example of one simulated spectrum from this high-resolution turbulent mixing zone, showing noticeably more complex absorption features compared to the previous example of discrete clouds. With access to a wide range of transitions covering low, intermediate, and high ionization states, the parameter estimation yielded the properties summarized using violin plots to the right. We found that for this system, 5 clouds are needed to explain the absorption seen in all the available transitions, and the bulk of the absorption seen in the Lyman series is found to come from 2 clouds seen in red and blue, primarily in the low and intermediate ions. The properties of both these clouds are found to be well constrained, with a metallicity of about 1/10 solar, a density of about 10 to the minus 2 per centimeter cube, and temperatures at about 10 to the 4 to 10 to the 4.5 Kelvin. The inferred sizes for these clouds are of the order of few kiloparsec. In addition to these 2 clouds, we also see absorption in the higher ionization state of oxygen 6 as shown by this green curve. The properties of this cloud are less certain but consistent with a metallicity of about 10 solar, density that is weakly constrained between 10 to the minus 4 to 10 to the minus 2 in 1 sigma, and a temperature that is consistent with about 10 to the 5 Kelvin. We also found the need for additional clouds primarily needed to explain the observed profiles in the Lyman series. However, their properties are very weakly constrained. This figure shows the slice of the simulation that was used to generate the spectrum in the previous slide. We can see the complex structure of the gas with cool filaments embedded in the hotter gas and turbulent mixing at the interface. The slices are of density, temperature, metallicity, and line of sight velocity. The sight line passing through this simulation slice is shown as this thick dashed line. In the density slice, along this sight line, we notice two dense structures consistent with densities of about 10 to the minus 2 per centimeter cube in whitish tinge. We also observe diffuse gas at densities consistent with 10 to the minus 3 per centimeter cube in green tinge, and gas at other density between these values. We also have this background medium at very low density consistent at density of 10 to the minus 3.8 per centimeter cube in black, which are the lowest densities in the simulation. We have the temperature for these different structures. These high density clouds are at temperatures consistent with about 10 to the 4 Kelvin. The diffuse gas is at intermediate temperatures between 10 to the 5 to 5.5, and then we have this background medium at temperature of 10 to the 6 and higher. The metallicities are all at metallicity of about 10 solar with slight deviation from a 10 solar within 0.2 dex. And this slide shows the velocity of these absorbing parcels of gas along the line of sight. The blue ones are at positive velocities and the ones in brown tinge are at negative velocities. So now the question is, are we able to identify these structures in the absorption spectrum that we saw in the previous slide? And the answer is yes, we do. We were able to identify these two structures in the spectrum. Those structures are these two shown by red and blue curves. Their velocities are consistent with the velocities of the structures that we saw in the simulation. Moreover, the metallicities are consistent with 10 solar. The densities are very accurately constrained at 10 to the minus 2, consistent with what is seen in the simulation. And importantly, even the sizes of these structures are well constrained. For sizes, we have overlaid on top of this slice a map showing the scale for the sizes. Each unit in this overlain map is about a kiloparsec. So we are able to infer the presence of these dense structures. Not only that, we are also able to infer the presence of this diffuse gas at intermediate temperatures, albeit with larger uncertainties. But the background gas at temperatures of 10 to the 6 Kelvin does not leave an imprint on the spectrum. Hence, we do not have a handle on the properties of this background gas. To conclude, parameter estimation is able to accurately recover bulk properties of the absorbing gas across all sample types. In the turbulent mixing scenario, properties of the strongest, that is low ionization absorption components, were retrieved with high accuracy. Properties of subdominant components were poorly constrained in the turbulent mixing case as they contributed weakly to the H1 absorption profiles. The study highlights the importance of considering physically motivated non-uniform absorption models, especially for the weak low density high temperature gas such as density loss for clouds instead of treating them as clouds of uniform density. Thank you.